What up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Average Joe's X and O's podcast. Max and Nick here with you, and it is officially week one of the NFL season for 2022. We just wrapped up week one of college football. We didn't really get to hop on and preview those games for last week, but the games have come, they have ended, and we have a few that we want to talk about to open up the show here. And then we will not too much NFL news to talk about, but we'll probably lead us right into pickems, and we'll preview Thursday's game, and then maybe I'll throw out some look at the betting odds and see which ways I want to lose my money this week. By the way, you might want to check your FanDuel app because my buddy sent it to me because he's in South Carolina right now, and he sent me the screenshot of because he was seeing if he could bet down there, but it said it had like a list of the states that you could bet in, and Ohio was on it. And he was like, well, I wonder if I could place bets, even though they said it wasn't going to go through till January, but Ohio's on the list. So
interesting. I'll have to check that out.
I don't know if it'll let you or not, but you could try. So we'll get to that. But first off, we got some college games to recap. Then what a crazy, opening week of college, man. There were some big games. I feel like generally speaking, lately we haven't got some good matchups in that week one, really. But we had a couple, and couple upsets, a couple I don't know if it's an upset. It'd be more of just like a downer. A couple teams, man, I feel sorry for. Like, obviously, we're going to talk about Oregon getting their ass whooped. I can't remember what they were ranked, but and then if you're a Nebraska fan, I'm kind of mad because I was thinking Nebraska was going to be one of those teams that made that jump this year. Frost has been there 4 years? Is this year 5 or year 4 for him?
4, I think.
So I just they were tough last year. They lost a lot of games by one possession. I just thought they would take that hump, but they pulled it out. Right? They didn't lose, but it was a close game against fucking North Dakota State or whoever they played, something like that, a smaller school. But yeah, let's start with, because you and I were texting on Saturday earlier in the day, and you were like, dude, you got to check out this Appalachian State game. I'm like, oh, who are they playing? You're like, North Carolina. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna throw it on. And my God, I only watched what was that, fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, or
yes,
mid fourth quarter, and I was like,
yep,
the craziest fucking
dude.
8 minutes.
The first, if you're looking at it from the first half, you go into half 28-21. UNC, is leading. The third quarter was kind of a snooze fest, but UNC came out and dropped 13 points in the third quarter. They took a pretty substantial lead, and then the fourth quarter happens, and it was just the most wild back and forth fourth quarter I've ever seen. If you're gonna get last year's versions of Chiefs Bills in the playoffs in the fourth quarter, and then 2 minutes you got tutties left and right.
Yeah.
That was this game. 62 points were scored in the fourth quarter alone between the two teams. Appalachian State drops 40, North Carolina drops 22. What a game, man. And we talk about it every year. It's something we always say.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go into a week one betting, and you want to throw a bet down on a team, I always feel like Appalachian State is one that you could say, I'm gonna put some money on it because chances are I have a really good shot of winning something there as an underdog. And sure as shit, 2-point conversion away from taking the lead with 20 seconds left. When they missed that 2-point conversion, did you get to see the ending part of that game? Did you watch it through the full?
Or you mean,
full game?
Didn't they go for? You mean when they went for 2 to try to win the game?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in the dude's hands.
It was there. It was there.
Right.
If the guy would have ran a few more steps instead of turn around and try to backpedal, that was it. That was game time. But North Carolina gets the onside kick and scores.
That's when I thought it was over. I stopped.
Yeah.
I almost stopped
and
paying attention.
I'm like, you know what, man? I want to watch this. I want to flesh this out, see what happens. And then Appalachian State drives down the field and has a chance to fucking tie it at the end with they had 19 seconds left, and they drove the lake. Well, what really set them up was the penalty, the unsportsmanlike penalty.
Yeah.
So they had a kickoff return and they got past midfield on the kickoff return. And then with 19 seconds left. They score a touchdown, or they have 19 seconds
Yeah.
to drive the remainder and score a touchdown with no time left. I'm like, this could still go into overtime and just be one of the most bananas fucking games I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
But what an entertaining game! Way to kick it off for the weekend for
Oh,
sure.
dude, if that would have went to overtime, that would have been absolutely insane. It's just crazy. But yeah, I call it Appalachian State, man. I call them the Giant Killers every year because you just never know. And everybody always goes back to that, which I always forget how long ago it was now. But when they beat Michigan, that was like so huge. And then ever since then, they've got some other big wins under their belt. But yeah, Appalachian State, man, always bringing it and playing up to the level of their opponent, who's usually a bigger school. Yeah, man, there's a couple crazy games like that. I mean, Georgia Oregon was one of those games where like two ranked teams you thought was going to be maybe a good one, but Georgia has beat the dog shit out of them, and you and I were talking before we started recording, and you know, I still think we don't really know because the Pac-12 kind of had a bad weekend. Don't really know what, like, is Georgia that good, or is Oregon straight rebuild mode since they lost their head coach to Miami? I don't know. That's going to be seen here in the next couple weeks. But either Georgia's really, really good or Oregon just is not very good at all. And even though they got a whole new coaching staff, one thing Georgia does is consistency with Kirby there, and they're still one of the top teams. So
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Georgia really didn't. I mean, yeah, they lost how much talent to the NFL, but they just retooled.
Yeah. And that was the big question mark because like LSU won it with Burrow. Usually Bama's the only one that's able to like reload like that. Usually, a team like LSU comes in, they win the championship, and then the next year they kind of fall down a little bit, But
I mean,
it's to be seen if other teams like Georgia can reload like that.
Yeah, Georgia retained their quarterback though. I mean, Stetson Bennett was no slouch.
Well, he's a walk-on. I didn't know he was a walk-on.
And he showed up. He showed up against Oregon and played very well.
Yeah.
Um.
And speaking of Oregon, like they had Bo Nix, which I forgot he even transferred. And he played a couple years there in Auburn, right? And
yes,
he had hype when he came in there, and then I just don't think he's the dude, man. Like he just
wasn't very impressive. But again, Georgia's defense is pretty stout.
Yeah.
Georgia has a couple players, man. Like they have a couple tight ends. The one guy, I forget what his name is, but it was number 0. He looks like a fucking creative player in Madden. Like the dude's 6'7" and just a giant. Like, it's not even their main tight end. I think who is it? Brockers? Is it Brockers? Is there? Hold on, I have to look. Yeah, he's like a big. I think it is Brockers. I'm pulling it up now. So the guy I'm talking about is Darnell Washington. He's 6'7", 270, and he's just he's a freak show.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like he's literally a creative player. I swear to God. Like you just look at him and you go, "Yep, that's."
I mean, 6'7". I mean, I'm sure he's played basketball, but
Brock Bowers was who I was referencing as the other tight end. Like he's the guy that everyone's like, watch him this year.
Wait, what number is he?
You said 0? Bowers is number 19.
Yeah, that's the dude I was talking about last year when we were talking. We're like, man, and he's fucking good. And I was like, I remember I was saying he was a receiver, and I was like, oh wait, he's a fucking tight end.
No, he's a tight end.
Dude, I didn't know he was 6'7". It's hard to judge that on the field, but like,
well, no, Bowers is 6'4". The other tight end, the Darnell Washington, he's 6'7", 270.
Oh, okay.
That's the creative player. Like that's the.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just make a. They
got two stud tight ends.
Yes, of course.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, they're legit, man. Like they're gonna be another scary team in the SEC, and
dude,
one thing.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say
I'm gonna tie it in after you say what you gonna say.
I was gonna say, like, it'll be interesting to see now. Some big news. We might want to talk about it a little bit after we cover some of the games here, but 2026, we got college football playoff expansion.
Yep, I did want to bring that up. We'll get to that after we cover some games because I was listening to Joel Klatt, and he's like, well, they just kind of snuck this in on Friday out of nowhere, and it wasn't really in the headlines because we had games going on. I didn't really see many people talk about it.
Well, I was just thinking about it because
like weird timing,
Well, I was just thinking like, oh, the SEC is going to have, oh, it's Alabama and Georgia, but like out of all the what is it, 12 teams?
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to have like eight
And
SEC teams and then
yeah,
the other four, whoever's left.
yeah. But the debate should be over. I think at 12 teams, the debate's over of like, oh, so and so should get in, like your smaller schools, like last year, what was it? Like Cincinnati's, like those schools. Now they're going to get their chance to go into that tournament and try and compete for a national championship. And I think we'll talk about it. I'm going to go on a rant if I keep talking about it. What I wanted to say was speaking of tight ends, I'll go into the Notre Dame Ohio State game because that's one thing I noticed when I was watching the game. I mean, Notre Dame's always known for having linemen and tight ends, but they had that one fucking tight end who he literally looked like an offensive lineman. Like the dude looked pretty fucking huge. I don't know if you know. I think it was 87 was his
Michael
number.
Mayer. Yeah, Michael Mayer. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
He was like the main part of their offense. Like that's who they threw the ball to. Oh, yeah. Tunnel screen to the tight end. No, every pass it was like we're gonna get it to this guy, but he might actually be the first tight end off the board.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I will say, like going into this game, I got a little cocky, and I just like to talk shit, and I didn't talk enough shit to fucking Tony at all. But this was the week that you went down there. You didn't stay for the game, but you went down Friday night. Our buddy had a Airbnb down there, and they were all going to the game. I unfortunately couldn't make it because I just moved and had to dish out so much freaking money that I just couldn't make the trip. But and I had to work, and I was, I had it on, had to sneak it, so I was able to like watch here and there, and and then I watched highlights at the end just to kind of like see like what was going on. So my takeaway is Notre Dame was better than I thought they were going to be. Maybe they really are like number 5 in the nation. And this is another thing to be seen, kind of like the Georgia and Oregon game. It's like, or does Freeman just know Ohio State so well because he played there, and he coached there. He knows he knows the scheme, he knows everything like really well. Now, Notre Dame is still like really physical, and that new quarterback they have looks like an athlete. He was kind of running for his life there a little bit. But he's kind of looks a little promising. So maybe they will have something there. I still think that with this NIL deals and like these boosters and stuff, like Notre Dame's got a standard to where they're not going to do what all the other schools do, which is why I think Kelly kind of went to LSU. Is like they're going to pay players. They're going to do whatever they can to fucking recruit, and players don't have to maintain a fucking 4.0 GPA. And I think it just in this landscape of college football, like, maybe Notre Dame can do it one time. I don't know. I just have a feeling like it's got to be hard to find those dudes that want to go to Notre Dame and hold that standard when, all these other top schools aren't doing that, so we're going to find out. But, the biggest question mark with Ohio State was, and this was my thing going into the game, even though like I bet my manager, he's a Notre Dame fan. I was like, you want to throw some money on this game? He's like, sure, $10. He's like, I got Notre Dame plus 20. I was like, all right, I'll take that bet. Because all I knew is I thought Ohio State's offense would be explosive. And I still think it's going to be an explosive offense. You got to think they lost Nick Jigba pretty early. Had some young guys in there. Was kind of shaky in the first half, but this is kind of what I wanted to see. This is even though it was stressful watching the games, you're like, fuck, they might lose. But they had adversity, got to the second half, overcame it, and then they kind of showed you, because the biggest knock last year was like, man, this offensive line, like they're just not physical. They got bullied by Oregon, bullied by Michigan, and they kind of won the game by being physical up front and running the football. And it was really good to see, because that's promising for later on in the year, because it shows us, hey, when they're down, they can come back and be they're physical. So I think that's a good sign.
They looked really good on both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage for sure.
Yeah.
I think the impact of the new defensive coordinator was pretty evident right away.
Yeah.
They were flying to the ball. They were playing physical. Outside of a few, like early in the game, outside of a few real fluky catches and some random bounces Notre Dame's way, like it could have been even worse, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But they made the necessary adjustments in the second half, came out and were stifling. Fun fact, my buddy Rocky actually he's a basketball coach, and he actually coached Michael Hall Jr., who's a defensive tackle
Who's a
for Ohio
fucking
State,
monster.
who had a fantastic game. And I was watching the game in the very first TFL, and they announced it. I'm like, oh, I know that dude. I followed him when he was in it was really weird. I followed him on Twitter, but I'm like, I made sure I followed him on Twitter like when he was in high school still, like because I knew about this kid and I knew he was a commit to Ohio State to play football. So it's like, it was kind of just a cool connection. But the dude balled out and I was super happy for him. And
What do you know what year he is?
I think he's
Is
a sophomore,
Oh, so he's young.
young. Yep.
What? Yeah, dude. He keeps that up, man. Fuck, dude. Like he's gonna be a force in that interior. And then Ohio State does have a lot of defensive ends that are young, that are kind of the same age. Jack Sawyer's actually. I remember you sending you his high school tape. 'Cause I think he played quarterback sometimes too in high school, but he was a stud defensive end, and then he played a lot last year. But he's traditionally a end rusher, and in this defense, they have him like standing up and shit. So I'm gonna pay more attention to Noel's defense and kind of see what he does with all these rotation of these defensive ends because they got some guys. Um, it's just I think for Ohio State fans, it's just tough because you go from Bosa brothers to Chase Young, and then that locks up what three? I mean, gosh, that's like a lot of years where you got an elite pass rusher, and then you go a couple years without one. Um, so that's to be seen if anybody kind of shows up here in the next following weeks to be that guy, on defense. But hey, they were able to, be physical and stop the run and hold Notre Dame to only 10 points. So I kind of like it, and we'll see what happens, man. Let's see. Oh, this just popped in my head before I get into the next game. There's a couple games. So I went to the ASU game on Thursday night.
Okay.
And for those of you who don't know, like, yeah, Pac-12, like ASU is obviously not like it's not, I mean, they don't sell their stadiums out. You know what I mean? Like, even when they're good, like, it's just not a football state, right? Now they played NAU, and yeah, they won like 40 something to like 3 or 10 or something like that. But it didn't tell the whole story of the game, right? Going into the second quarter, like it was looking like it was only going to be like 7-3 at the half, and then eventually ASU capitalized on some things, and they ended up going in the half. It was like 20-3 or some shit like that. But the score didn't predict, like, because I just think ASU, all they did was basically run the ball. They didn't really throw very well, and I think it's going to be a long season for them. They have, Herm lost a lot of his coaches because they got busted with. I mean, there's still like a thing they're waiting for. I mean, Herm could be fired essentially when this comes out, but they lost a lot of transfers or players to transferring. Speaking of the quarterback, Daniels is one of them, and he played for LSU. That's the next game I want to talk about. But the point I'm making is basically like there's some teams where it's like, oh shit, it's like they're probably not going to be that good. Again, maybe I'm a hater, but someone, I didn't get to watch much of the Michigan game, but like when I looked at it in the beginning, it didn't look like, yeah, their points were a lot, but like the way they were scoring, like I don't know what was going on in that game, but some people were saying it wasn't like pretty, and I'd have to go back and like look at games like that. But you had those games throughout the weekend as well. But speaking of ASU, you had LSU versus Florida State, which was fucking crazy, and the starting quarterback was Daniel. What's his first name? I forget.
Was it JT?
Is it Jalen?
Maybe.
Something Daniels, but he's a transfer from ASU. He played there ASU the last 2 years, I think, 2 or 3 years. Came out of California.
Jaden.
Was
Yeah,
Jaden.
Jaden. Yep.
Came out of California, was the first true freshman to start at ASU, and he transferred, and I think it kind of had to do with playing at a bigger school, and B, like just what was going on with ASU. So I had to go back and watch highlights of this as well because I was working whenever this game was going on, and I had to go. I just had to go watch it, and the way that that shit ended was insane. You watched that too, didn't you?
I watched most of it. I was actually driving home when the ending was going down, but I get home and I saw it go down on Sports Center, and I'm like, oh man, what a tough break.
Well, and then LSU, because LSU had a field goal that was blocked earlier in the game too. It
Yep.
wasn't just the extra point. So like, they would have maybe won based on that, but like they had they came from behind there. Uh, beautiful pass late in the game to set up that touchdown to tie it up. And Florida State comes through and blocks the extra point, which is it's crazy. There's a guy I work with who's a diehard Florida State fan. I think he took off for that game, and he probably was going crazy. I can only imagine, but dude, when shit like that happens, like especially in college ball, like it's great because like the crowd just goes fucking nuts. I actually did you see the message I sent you? Oh fuck, I got the burps. It was like before the game. It was like LSU's pregame, and they came out, and the stadium was like dark. I was like, dude, that's
Yeah, it
fucking
was pretty
dope.
dope. It was pretty dope. Yep.
Yeah.
The thing with that game, if you had bet the over in that game, you
What?
were pissed.
Why? What was it?
I think it was like 48 and a half, 49 and a half. It was one of those two. Had they hit the extra point and gone into OT, the over would have hit.
Oh shit. Well, I know like
Regardless, the over would have hit regardless. So
I know one guy I work with, he did a parlay and the thing that fucked it up, he actually would have got it because last night I texted him. I was like, because at one point Georgia Tech had scored and it didn't look like because they had Georgia Tech was plus 23 and a half and he took it. And I'm like, oh shit, 23 and a half, man. And because we just didn't know what kind of Clemson we're getting this year, right? And then they pulled away. But it was actually the Utah game. And that's the game I wanted to see because I read that Utah going into the season didn't really lose anybody. And they were pretty good last year. Like they could have beat Ohio State easily. Like that offense was fucking high powered. Everybody came back. I'm like, oh dude, they might win the Pac-12. But then they come out, they played Florida, right? I think. I think it was Florida. And they ended up losing. That was a tight game as well. And Utah's quarterback did what you can't do in that moment in the game, and I think he threw a pick that kind of sealed the deal. But that again, going back to what I said earlier, Pac-12 had a rough start. Obviously, USC. I mean, who'd they play? Like Rice or somebody? Like obviously they won. Like they didn't play anybody. So yeah, man, eventful first week of college ball. Let's see what we got this week really quick.
I'm gonna give you an update. Sportsbook has not launched in Ohio yet for FanDuel.
Bullshit.
Had it launched, I definitely would have bet the under, not the under, but I would have bet the spread on the UB Maryland game was 24, and I thought it would be closer than that, and UB actually only ended up losing by 17, I believe. So that's
Are they
something I would have
how are they
I would have bet.
are they taking some steps back or
It's year two with a new coach,
okay.
so they got some transfers that are some big time guys, like, and they still got some guys on defense. Like their defense, they returned pretty much their entire defense. Uh, Jarrett Patterson, the running back that's on Washington
Mm-hmm.
Commanders practice squad, his brother's like one linebacker, was like the MAC linebacker of the year and like defensive player of the conference last year. So he came back and he's a baller. They got a couple transfers. They got this kid from Louisville that transferred, this wideout,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just dirty. Like he's just so nice. So they've got some guys. I think it's going to take a year or two to retool, but they really hit the transfer portal hard this year and brought some talent in. So it should hopefully pay off for them in the MAC this year.
You know what? It was another good game over the weekend was this just popped in my head because I'm looking at shit. Pittsburgh and was it West Virginia?
Oh yeah, that was a good game. I remember I didn't get a chance to watch it, but
I think I threw it on. I was watching and I had to leave or whatever, but it was back and forth and I was uh it was another one of those games that came down to the wire. Week two. So this is a big here for me. I think like we're gonna find out just how good Texas is. And fuck, what a first game for. Well, no, I didn't even see. Like, how did Ewers do with Texas last week? Did you see? I didn't even see it. I didn't hear anything about it. Let's see here. Who'd they play? They're not ranked. Um, so that must have been a nobody. Do you know who they played?
Louisiana Monroe,
Oh, fucking
and
nobody.
they shit stomped them 52-10.
As they should. But this is going to be a big test here. I mean, Texas is arguably has Johnson, Bijor. Is it Bijor? Is that how you say his name?
Bijan.
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 Stud, probably going to be a high draft pick. And then you got Quinn Ewers, who transferred from Ohio State. He's the kid that graduated fucking high school early last year. Basically, just sat on Ohio State. He was like fourth in the depth chart. Got his $1 million NIL deal, and then he transferred to Texas, where he's now the starter. It's going to be a big test. I actually might watch that game over the Ohio State game this week because Ohio State's playing Arkansas State. You should put up fucking 50 on them. So yeah, dude, I'm gonna keep your eye on that game. Might even you know what? Fuck it. Let's see what the odds of some of these games are. What else we got that I like here? We got
I'm trying to figure out how they scored 52 points. Like I'm trying to do the math here. Like Ewers only had 2 touchdowns.
Really?
Yep. There was 3 rushing touchdowns, so that's 5 total. That's only 35 points. Where did the other 17 points come from?
They must have put in like backups, dude. I think.
Yeah, but even the backups didn't have, like, the backup quarterback didn't have any touchdowns.
Maybe
Really
defense.
weird.
What about
It
defense?
has to be. Defense and kicking has to be.
Let me see here. Football. Let's go. NCAA. Week 2. Alabama, Texas. Okay. The Alabama's favored by 20.5.
Holy shit.
Dude. I don't know how good Texas is going to be, but I might throw money at Texas plus 20.5. They might be too young still, but I might fucking roll with it. Or the over under is 64.5. But that'd be a huge upset if Texas pulled that shit off. But another game, so you got Tennessee, Pittsburgh, so that's 17 at 24. That's not a division game. I thought it was. Let's see, you got that one. Kentucky and Florida. Oklahoma, Kent State. Arizona State's about to get fucking annihilated playing Oklahoma State. Michigan's playing fucking Hawaii. Got Baylor, BYU. That's 2 ranked teams. Yeah, not a whole lot going on in the top 25 this week. So that's what we got here for that. So yeah, I don't know. I need to start
Throw
winning.
some money.
I need
Throw
to start
some money
winning
down.
because I need to start winning because I have been getting my fucking ass handed to me in everything, UFC, all of it, and it's not fun, dude. It's clearly
Whatever your gut says, do the opposite, I guess.
it's actually not a bad idea, and I definitely need to do that more often when it comes to UFC because. And there's fucking some decent UFC fight on this week too. So dude. This ain't good for my bank account. And you'll find that out come January. All right. So I think we should get into these pick'ems, and then we'll preview as we go through. We'll preview just some of these games that we're kind of excited to see, and I'll look up those odds as well afterwards to see. I've already looked them up and placed a couple bets I forgot about because I knew I'd forget about them, which is cool. I'm gonna do a couple parlays and like smaller ones, and but there are some games where I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't know if I want to touch it or not. So let's get into it. Thursday night, man, starting off with a fucking banger. Bills versus the Rams, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure even though it's at SoFi Stadium, the Bills are favorites.
Well, they're -2. So
I mean, it's not huge, but like, I mean,
usually doesn't the home team get 3?
Usually.
Typically, so I guess technically, yeah, they're favored.
So let me tell you this. Originally, I was super confident. I'm like, you know what? Bill's got that. And then now I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't know.
Nobody ever knows, dude.
I don't know, man. Because normally I don't like touching Thursday night games because, teams are usually playing off Sunday and then they have to turn around and play Thursday, but they're open in the season. So, like, I don't know what we're gonna
Right.
get, dude. We're gonna
So
get fresh legs. I mean, I feel like they match up pretty well. Fuck, dude. I don't know. What are you thinking? You're the
uh
Bills fan, dude.
I'm nervous, man. I mean, it's the defending Super Bowl champs. Traditionally, the
Don't forget,
defending
I mean,
Super Bowl.
Stafford's got that fucking elbow issue too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really
But
tough though because
but they've added pieces too, because you got Allen Robinson, and like a lot of people in every draft I've done, just fucking too many. He's went super late. I know he's getting older now, but like he might ball out. I don't know.
it's funny because the defending like the Super Bowl champs opening the season, they have a very favorable record in opening games to start the year.
What is it?
This is it is I just saw this stat earlier. I forgot to write it down. Uh, Week records. But anyway, so the biggest thing that scares me is uh it's the Bills secondary. We're going to be going in without Tre'Davious White. Uh
Is he still hurt?
yep, he's going to be on the pup list for at least 4 weeks
Oh shit.
by the time he ramps up and you know gets into the season. He's probably not playing until week 8. So we're gonna be tested early. In this game. It's
Wait, I thought you said
you
he was
know,
out for 4 weeks.
yeah, he's minimum 4 weeks, but by the time he comes back, starts practicing, starts getting into, repetitions and things, like he can't practice for 4 weeks. So
Oh, so
I'm
he's
I'm
out for
thinking
almost half the season.
their bye week's week 7, so I think his earliest return is versus Green Bay in week 8. That's kind of like my thought.
So who's
But
who's who's taking over for him?
um that would be Dane Jackson and either Kyrie Elam or Christian Benford. So definitely going to be a test.
So obviously
Hopefully,
it's hard to replace White. You know,
hopefully the D line is what really, comes into, play here and really steps up. Like that's going to be the strength of the team. So, uh, yeah, that's going to be tough. I know the last year, uh, the Rams were, I mean, obviously being Super Bowl champs, they've done pretty well in their opening games. I think Sean McVay has yet to lose an opening week game, or is like 7-1 or something like that in opening week games or week 1 games. Like he's got a pretty damn good record. Whereas Sean McDermott's like 3-2 in home openers, and all 3 wins that the Bills have in home opener or just week 1 openers since McDermott's been there have been against the Jets. So yeah, that's kind of scary as well. So I think it's going to be it should be a good game. I know a lot of hype around the Bills this off season. That also kind of scares me. I don't know how I feel about it, or how I don't really like it, to be honest with you. But I can understand why people are saying it, and I hate it. But I am going to pick the Rams to defend their turf and kick off the season with a dub.
well, I knew you were gonna do that, so that's why I went with the Bills, because I knew automatically to keep your tradition going that you pick against the Bills so they win. So I'll take the Bills, even though everything you just said makes me think that the Rams have an edge a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find.
And then you'll know, dude. I mean, Aaron Donald could also just take helmets off and start swinging them at fucking everybody. So yeah.
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, but you never know.
um,
Jalen Ramsey was already talking shit too. So,
I mean, as
well,
expected,
yeah,
he always
that's
runs his mouth.
yeah, that's it's not surprising, but yeah. I mean, after he called Josh Allen trash, and then Josh Allen just has
Um,
has helped beat the teams that he's played on.
so
Once with the Jags and Rams.
right. So
Yeah.
we know obviously about Diggs, but like Davis is basically taking over, and it happened last year late in the season because Emmanuel Sanders started out kind of being a guy, and then he's the one who kind of took over the playing time from Emmanuel Sanders, right?
Gabe, yes, Gabe has in the past he's done that. Um, and he's going to get a large snap share this year, I think. So that is going to be um that's going to be something to watch. I think, dude, the guy's a touchdown factory though.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
that's all he does.
I got him in a couple leagues, so
Yeah, the guy just catches touchdowns. But I think he's going to provide some interesting versatility. I think McKenzie, they'll switch it up with McKenzie and Crowder in the slot, and do some change of pace stuff there. I believe. Um, I'm really curious to see. Honestly, though, my biggest thing on offense is to see the Aaron Cromer addition and what he brings to the table in the run game and in the protection schemes. I think the run game will look a lot better for the Bills. And I think we'll see evidence of it to start with, and that should hopefully take some pressure off of Josh in the passing game. But yeah, a lot of different factors, a lot more moving pieces this year for the Bills. As far as you're not seeing it nearly as consistent with this team. New OC, new offensive line coach, got some new pieces on offense. So you're really hoping that the additions you brought in with like Roger Saffold, Spencer Brown's healthy now at right tackle. Hopefully Ryan Bates can pick up where he left off last year after having a solid finish to the season. So I'd like to see them all gel and get there, but they didn't have a lot of reps together. Some injuries that were going down in training camp and stuff. So it'll definitely be interesting. And I would like to think that it's going to be a pretty electric game, but you know how week one games are, man. Week one isn't necessarily a indicator of
no.
what's to happen in the season, and there's some sloppy football that can happen week one. So we're definitely going to find out.
Yeah. And, I mean, look at the Panthers last year. They freaking won, what, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, and they just fell apart. So, you never know what's going to happen in week one and how that's going to. I mean, Kansas City started off shitty last year, and then defense ended up getting their shit together late in the season. So, it's not the end all be all, but statistically, if the teams that go 2-0 has a higher percentage of making the playoffs. Next game, I think this one's pretty easy. 49ers versus the Bears. Just Fields has looked a lot better in preseason. Hard to judge because obviously we all know preseason's kind of vanilla, especially it's a little different now with these 3-game preseasons. But I mean, the Bears offensive line can only get so much better in a year. It still kind of sucks, and I expect the 49ers kind of just run through them.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm curious to see what Trey Lance brings. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun little addition there. But it's the 49ers have a very good roster and they're pretty healthy going into this game. So, it might be the only time we really see a fully healthy San Fran team, take on an opponent. So, a lot of question marks in Chicago, new coach, new GM. Like it's going to be, it's going to be
I mean,
should be an entertaining game.
Yeah, I mean Mooney's arguably their best receiver, and he got dinged up there, and I mean I don't know if I think he's playing, but I thought he was a hamstring issue. They do have a nice tight end as well. I think Fields is going to be running around for his life, but I think he'll make some plays. So I root for Fields, and I hopefully the Bears don't ruin him, and I kind of hope that he stays healthy this season. And
tough matchup, man. San Fran's got a good defense, so it's a tough matchup week one.
Next game, I feel like it's Patriots versus Dolphins, and I feel like the media is like really pumping up the Patriots, but like I think we've seen what we've seen from Mac Jones. I'm actually going to go Dolphins in this one, because Dolphins usually play them tough anyway.
I went Dolphins as well. The track record for New England in Miami has been brutal. Even since Brady's been there, like they haven't had a lot of success down in Miami. So, I'm curious to see what Tyreek brings to the table, what the defense looks like. I mean, Miami's battling some injuries as well, but I'm pretty excited about that game. Marks kind of a new season, and we get to get kind of a gauge on the AFC East and where they stand with a right off the bat week one battle there. So, but I went Miami as well. I think they're going to present a few more challenges, and all reports indicate that the Patriots haven't looked very good so far in the offseason. So um, I'm going Miami in that one as well.
All right. Next we got Colts and Texans. I mean the Colts should be pretty damn good. I that was my team last year who like I thought was good and then they kind of didn't do what I thought they'd do. I mentioned it and harped on it all season. I don't know if that was Carson Wentz's fault. I mean, statistically he played all right, you know. But with Matt Ryan in there, I know he's a little older, but he looks like he's been slinging it around and I don't know. I just think the Texans have some young talent. I think the Texans are gonna be better than people think. 'Cause a lot of people expect them just to automatically like suck again to where like I think they'll be competitive. I could be wrong. But they got some pieces there. They drafted pretty well and they're loaded with picks for the next couple of years because fuck Cleveland. So we'll see what happens. But I think the Colts got this one.
Yeah, I agree. Although I do believe didn't Houston end Indianapolis's season last year? Like Indianapolis had to win and get in, and Houston just shit on them, right? Was that the?
I don't remember.
I think that was how
So there's a
that
couple of
went
those
down last
games.
year.
Interesting. That might have been.
However,
That might have been.
however, I do think Indianapolis comes out. Matt Ryan definitely presents a little bit different of a challenge versus what Carson Wentz brought to the table. So I'm gonna go with Indy. I think overall they have the better team, and they're at a little bit different of a stage in their rebuild. And got some established guys there. So I do think that this is going to be one for Indy to take for sure.
Next one, Ravens versus Jets. This one's pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, what Ravens?
Yeah.
I don't think that's
We're on
I
the
think
same
that's a
page.
no-brainer.
I do think the Jets have gotten some talent, but then we're having Flacco. I'm assuming Flacco starting isn't fucking.
It's still debatable week one, but yes, my gut says that Flacco starts.
Oh, yeah. This is interesting. Packers 49ers. I mean, Packers, we don't really know. I mean, Adams isn't there anymore. I mean, you still have Rodgers, obviously, a young receiving core. I mean, I'm sure they're still going to be pretty tough, but I think I'm gonna go with Vikings, man.
I want Green Bay.
Did you?
Yep. Yep. I just better quarterback. I am curious to see with the new offensive philosophy what Minnesota is going to try to do this year. But I think Green Bay's got a pretty solid defense as well. They should be able to limit some of the things that Minnesota might want to try to do there. So definitely leaning towards Green Bay in this one.
All right, we got. This is gonna be a good game. This one is. I'm kind of scared to touch this one too. Raiders versus Chargers. I want to see what that spread is here. It's at Chargers Stadium and
Yeah, this one's going to be a good one too, I think. But
yeah, this one. I mean, this
I
one's
I went with the
three
Chargers.
three three and a half. Yeah, Chargers are favorite 3.5 because they're home basically.
I could see it being real close to being a push. So
Yeah, dude. I could see this one being a 3-point game, for sure. But you gotta think the Chargers, what they added to that defense, and this could be a shootout. Over unders 52.5. You said you're taking Chargers.
I'm
What'd you
taking
say?
Chargers. Yep.
Taking
Taking
Chargers.
Chargers. Yep.
I might take Raiders just for shits and gigs. Make it interesting for this. This little pick 'em here. But I feel like a lot of points are going to be scored. I think it's going to be pretty solid. Bucks and Cowboys. I never know what to think of the Cowboys.
Going to be an interesting start.
I mean, this one's close too. I mean, it's at Dallas, and Tampa Bay's actually favored 2.5 points.
I went Tampa Bay.
You want Tampa?
Yep.
Yeah, dude. I think I'm gonna go Cowboys. I shouldn't, but I'm just gonna do it. I don't really have a good reasoning at all.
Just
Yeah.
going with your gut. I feel it.
Yep. Eagles versus Lions.
Man, even though Hard Knocks has got me so hyped for the Lions this
Is it?
year,
Is this the last
uh,
episode tonight?
yep, I
Okay.
went I went with Philly to start the season.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. Like, because the Eagles. I mean, Eagles got a pretty solid receiving core. The biggest question is Hurts. Like, is Hurts going to be able to be the guy? Oh, you know
Well,
what? I'm gonna
this will
keep it.
be a start to the campaign for
It
him,
will.
you know?
I'm gonna keep it going. I shouldn't as well. I'm gonna go Lions, dude, just to make this first week fucking interesting. Because normally we have like what 2 games that are different that we pick. Right now we got 5. So let's fucking keep living dangerously. Uh, next game, Steelers versus Bengals.
I went Bengals.
Yeah, me too, because I'm biased and I just fucking absolutely hate the Steelers. And you know, I was rooting for Mitch Trubisky originally, and I think I mentioned it last year. That's before he went to the Steelers. Now I just hope he fucking sucks. So, uh, yeah, I mean the Steelers are loaded at receiver too. It's just I don't know if Trubisky is going to be the guy or not. I mean, it remains to be seen. We'll find out. Um, but they do have good receivers and they got a good running back. So, I mean, the Steelers, even when they suck, they're still good. So, but we'll see if the Bengals hype's legit. You Next game, Browns Panthers. I told you, I don't think I said this on the show. It was before we started recording, but even being a Browns fan, I feel like this should be a nationally televised game because I think a lot of people are interested in this storyline.
Oh yeah.
The Baker storyline, like even if you're not a fan of the Browns, like it's kind of interesting. You're like, is Baker gonna fucking beat them? You know, how fucking crazy would it be if he did? Um,
I think he does.
you think he does?
Yep.
I'm
Here's
still,
and my main reason is that we forget because we haven't seen him on the field very often, but Christian McCaffrey is a problem
yeah.
and he's healthy. And
Mhm.
it might be one of only 3 fucking games he plays this year, but it's the first game of the year.
Yeah.
And DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, a pretty good receiving core. And I think Carolina's defense is constantly slept on. Love that defense. It's going to be a challenge offensively for the Browns and Brissett, they're going to have their hands full on defense. So and just with the storyline, the motivating factors, all everything else, I could just see it being Baker fucking comes out and just balls out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like reigniting the chip on his shoulder from his college days, sort of
Yeah.
deal.
I mean, for me, like I'm gonna go Browns, but like that's just I mean I've mentioned it. I still think I don't know what the offense is gonna look like. None of us really do because they didn't play fucking Coop they didn't play Cooper. Um, a lot of their offensive weapons, obviously Chubb and Hunt. I know in camp at one point that there was rumors that Hunt and Chubb were on the field at the same time, and like I know Felton's listed as a running back, but he's actually been working with the receivers in the slot. You know what I mean? And when he gets the balls in his hands, he's dangerous too. So like, I think there's some things in his offense we haven't seen yet, and obviously not going to be as good without Watson. Um, and when you go through Brissett's stats when he was a starter, even with the Colts, it's not going to wow you, but he takes care of the football, and you know I think we saw last year what the offense kind of looks like with that injured Baker. And like, I think I think offense is still going to that's probably going to be long drives that they put together. I would imagine what the game plan would be and keep, Panthers offense off the field. But really, I'm taking Browns just because I think their secondary is elite. Obviously their pass rush is going to be there. Panthers have a rookie tackle. It's got to try and block Myles Garrett. Interior defensive line kind of worries me a little bit with Cleveland. JOK is in his second year, who's been flying around, stud. So I think this defense is going to be legit, and I expect Baker to throw some interceptions because, again, Browns fan, I wanted Baker to work out. Don't get me wrong. We've seen that time and time again. I mean, Baker's thrown a ton of picks in his career, um, you know, and but he has made some good throws too. So we're gonna see what happens. I know Panthers have a decent defense. They kind of get slept on a little bit. But it's hard for me to believe they're going to make that huge turnaround, even in their division. And part of me saying this too, just because like, if the Browns do lose this game, it's like fuck. Because like their first 4 games, especially without Watson, it's like you got to go at least 3-1. You can go 2-2, but like the schedule only gets harder from those after those first 4 games. So like to me, it's like to be successful this season, I think you have to win those 4 games or go 3-1. You know what I mean? Anything less than that, then it's going to be a long fucking year if you're losing any games in those first 4. So hopefully the Browns get it done. I'll take Cleveland. And they'll probably let me down like they always do. So that's why I'm kind of going into the season low expectations. I don't expect them to make the playoffs, but don't fuck me in week 1. And we also got to throw in Browns haven't won a week 1 game since 2004, I believe. It's gotta be broken at some point, dude.
When we get to we didn't do Giants Tennessee yet,
Not
did
yet.
we?
It's three games away. We'll get
Okay.
there. So yeah, that's another one. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games that are different. Next game, Saints at Falcons.
I went Saints.
I'm going Saints. I saw Nick Wright fucking being like, I don't know why everybody thinks the Saints are going to be good, and then he was sucking off KC again as he usually does. But like, I think the Saints are better right now, like than they were last year offensively for sure with the talent they've added. I mean, listen, Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas coming back is going to do wonders for Chris Olave. You and I know how good Chris Olave is. He catches everything. I know he's a rookie, and we've seen these rookie receivers come out in the last 5 years and put up some numbers. And I think Chris Olave is going to be a dog.
I
And
have him on a couple fantasy teams, and I
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
I think
And
so too.
as far as we know, Kamara is playing. So like offensively, and like I said, Winston had them 5-2, 5-3 before he blew his knee out last year. They
Yep.
got even though they got a new coach, he's the defense coordinator. They got consistency on defense. Like I think they're going to do okay in that division, and I'm actually excited to see it. So I think, and the Falcons, they have some young talent, but it's going to take a while to get that
Yeah,
back. So
it's a battle of the 2015 top 2 quarterbacks,
yeah.
Mariota versus Winston. So
Oh shit, that's interesting.
yep.
I am rooting for Mariota though. I'm glad he's getting a second chance. I always felt like when he played for the Raiders and got in there, he looked pretty damn good. So hopefully, I kind of hope he does well. Next game, Jags versus Commanders. I saw someone say, I think it was Nick, maybe it was Nick Wright, but because there's like, oh, there's every year there's teams that go from worst to first or make the playoffs, and he picked the Jags, like the Jags have a little hype behind them.
I
But
went
dude,
with I
I
went
think,
with the Jags in this.
oh, did you?
Yep, I did.
I'm going with Washington actually.
Okay.
I know the defense is that defensive line anyway is still solid from Washington. Um, I don't know if Wentz is better than Heineke or not, but they got some fucking receivers on that offense. So, but no,
I
nothing against the Jags. I mean, the Jags are kind of loaded on offense as well. And I had one buddy, he's not big on NTNA, and I'm like, I don't know, like I know the other running back was supposedly getting more touches in camp and stuff, but I think NTNA is going to be used as like as a receiver as well. He's probably going to be lined up in the slot, and he's coming off injury. I get that, but I think the Jags will definitely be way better.
yeah, I think the Doug Peterson factor, and actually having been a head coach in the NFL
Yeah.
and kind of knowing how to manage teams and bringing that experience to the table is going to pay dividends. And he's got a souped up version of Carson Wentz leading his offense. The same offense that took them to the Super Bowl against and had and won the Super Bowl in 2017. So um I think it's going to be a interesting turnaround. I'm kind of I don't know that people are sleeping on the Jags, but I have like a little mini optimism for them
Well,
this year.
dude,
So
this game's also. I mean, Washington. I just they got home field advantage. They're favored by 2.5, so it's another close one. So it's
yeah,
interesting. Next one is Giants and Titans.
want to hear a fun stat?
Yep.
This is why I was curious if we had gotten to this one yet. I couldn't remember. Since 2016, the Giants have never had a record above 500. since 2016.
Holy fuck.
Yep.
That's crazy. I didn't think it's been that long.
6 years, and they have not had a record above 500.
Wow.
This game, Giants Tennessee, could be the opportunity for the first above 500 record in 6 years for the Giants.
Oh, just for
And
week one?
no,
What do
just
you
in
mean?
general. They have not had an above 500 record. Like they've not been above 500 in win percentage since 2016.
But you're saying winning this
Like
game?
they've never. Well, yeah, because then they'd be 1-0 and they'd have 1,000 win percentage.
Oh, okay.
But
I see what you're saying.
yep, but they have not. They have not had an above 500 record in 6 years.
Well,
And I picked Tennessee.
yeah. I was
With
getting
that
ready.
said, I picked Tennessee.
I was getting ready to say, so Tennessee's favored by 5.5, and I mean, I don't know if Burks is going to be able to replace fucking who was it? Davis
AJ Brown.
or Brown, AJ Brown. I don't know if he'll be able to replace him or not. They're going to expect him to, but from what I read, I don't even know if he's starting, but they did get Austin Hooper. You know, they're a well coached team. I still think even despite what happened last year, I think they'll still be pretty tough. And I just don't see the Giants beating them, but we'll see. Saquon seems healthy. Fuck, I don't even know who else I don't even know who there is. Kadarius Toney still a guy? Like I don't even know who they got. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going with what's familiar, and I think the Titans got it as well. But that's a funny stat. Next one, which is a game that I'll be at this Sunday. So I'll be going down to Westgate where the Cardinals play, and then because my mom's coming into town tomorrow, she wanted to go so bad, so she's like, I want to see Patrick Mahomes because she kind of wants to bang him, I think. But anyway, like we're going down there, and it's gonna be a good day. I'm gonna go watch the Browns game a little bit earlier. Which game? By early, I mean NFL games. The 1 o'clock games on the East Coast or Midwest is 1 o'clock. Well, it's 10 o'clock here. It's actually quite nice when they come on. So get down there. Game starts at 10. By the time that game's finishing, walk over to the stadium, and I'll get to watch this Cardinals and Chiefs game live.
That'll be fun.
And it's not. It's one of those things. It's like tickets are kind of expensive, so I tried to talk her out of it, but she wanted to see him play. I'm like, it would be cool to see Mahomes play live at least one time. So get to go see him play live. There's some questions here, right? We don't know what the Chiefs are going to look like without Tyreek Hill because no doubt about it, Tyreek made some plays. He can do things that other receivers can't. I mean, how many times we've seen him bust off a little post or just a little short
quick
dink.
crosser.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
And then take
and
off
just take
for
it out
like
of house. Yeah.
60 yards or whatever. You know what I mean? All the time. That's not there anymore. Can Juju be that guy? I mean, he's no Tyreek Hill. He's got some knee issues. He's been banged up, I think, but he'll probably play. So that's remains to be seen. And then listen, and I don't know who drafted him. Travis Kelce's been a dog, right? And I think he's 32 now. At some point, with his style of play, I think we've seen the best years of Kelce. I'm not saying he's not going to be productive. He's not going to be good. It's just the NFL, dude. You get late. Not everybody's Tom Brady. You get late and start getting into your 30s. Some decline is going to happen. So like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just how the game rolls. Like, I don't know what he's going to do this year. He's probably still going to be productive, like I said. You know what I mean? But that shit can happen overnight, and at some point, it's got to happen. So that's something that you got to kind of question too. And obviously, Mahomes is always going to be pretty good. Now the Cardinals, on the other hand, it's what's shitty is Hopkins is out for 6 games. They get who they get from the Eagles in that trade? Speedster, or no, Ravens from the Ravens. Brown.
Oh yeah, Marquise Brown. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm assuming he's one of the guys that takes over in his shoes. And then they got the second round player, Speedy guy. Rondell Moore.
Rondell Moore, yeah, out of Purdue. Yep.
Yeah. They did draft a really good tight end because I think Hurts is banged up. I don't know if Hurts is. I haven't seen if he's starting or not. He's obviously getting older too, but um, you know, Cardinals did lose some people on defense. They lost Chandler Jones, right?
Yep.
Or was that last year? That was this year. So yeah, I mean, again, this game, I mean, Chiefs are favored by 5.5. Which is interesting because you would think even despite all that, then maybe the Cardinals maybe it'd be a little bit bigger than that. I don't really know. My gut tells me to still go with the Chiefs.
I went with the Chiefs. That's what my gut said too. I think they'll be able to figure it out, even
Yeah.
with the new receiving
I just hope
core.
it's a good game. I don't want to be there and have it be a fucking blowout.
I think it's going to be an offensive slugfest, man, because the Chiefs aren't necessarily known for their defense. Arizona's not, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think they both have pretty potent offenses.
Mhm.
And at least it's not being played in the second half of the season where Cliff Kingsbury just fucking
Eat
always
shit.
drops the ball. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be good. Hopefully, this just popped in my head because I'm gonna be at that game. I don't know. You went to a Bills game last year, didn't you? Did you go last year? I thought you did.
I don't think I went to one last year.
Well, you're definitely gonna go to the Browns one, I'd imagine, this year. But so at that ASU game, and I don't remember, because I went last year, right, to the ASU's home opener, and I don't think it was this much, but dude, for a 24-ounce can of beer, it was $14.50, $30 for two, basically a 4-pack.
Holy shit.
And I was like, what the fuck?
That's crazy.
That alone makes it almost not worth it for me, dude. It's like, god damn, dude. So I don't know what's going to be at the pro stadium. Hopefully it's a little bit cheaper. Maybe that's just college because like they don't fucking sell their stadium out. Like, you know what I mean? So like, or maybe it'll be the same. I don't know, but I just thought that was absolutely insane. Like
That's wild.
it's getting just absolutely insane. Like if you want to take your like if you're a family and you want to go, like it's just crazy. I don't know. Last game, Broncos versus Seahawks.
I went Denver.
Yeah, Seahawks are rebuilding, dude. I don't think.
What point total?
This one is going to, and this would be the Monday night game. So, you cunt. Denver is favored by 6.5.
What's the total points you got?
44.5.
I went 42.
So you'd take the under.
Yeah, that was my tiebreaker. Guess was 42 points.
I'd probably take Denver at 6.5, minus 6.5. But yeah, what we got? How many? That was it. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7 games that are different. So
we should be good then anyway.
Should be good. What's the beer of choice?
Let's start it off with a crisp, refreshing. Pilsner. We'll smash a Pilsner.
Pilsner. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Pilsner of choice. To shotgun.
This is gonna fucking be terrible. So fucking terrible. So, since I gave you, I gotta shut my VPN off really quick. Since you can't bet yet, if you were to do a parlay, I mean, just like out of the best games, like I don't know how many teams you'd want to do, and if you do want to, let me know. Send me some money, and I'll fucking put it down, dude. What out of all these games, what sticks out to you that you think that you would like to bet? And remind you, like, since I don't know how much you bet in the past. Like, in order to really win, you got to try and pick those upsets of those teams that are in the pluses, mixed in with some minuses.
I would be. Good question. I may consider Detroit over Philly. If I were to bet it as like an upset, um, I feel pretty confident in Baltimore over the Jets. To kind of to put that parlay in place, as a, I feel like that's a surefire thing. I would also, uh, mm, what's the line in for Vegas Chargers?
Um, 3.5. Raiders would be plus 154. But the Chargers are favored by 3.5. And the over under is 52.5.
I could see the fucking Raiders even winning that game. Like I'd almost go Vegas, Detroit,
Like straight
Baltimore as a
Vegas straight up.
yeah.
So that three-legger would be right, just those three.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fucking 10 to win 80. 10 to win 80, 86.
I mean that would be something I'd consider, but I'd
Yeah.
have to look more at like the odds and
I mean,
shit
some
too.
some of these might change in a couple days or by Sunday. So we'll see. I might actually when I bet on because I'm gonna bet on I'm not gonna take Cleveland straight up, but what I might do is I might go Cleveland plus 1.5. That way if they lose by like a field goal or something, still covered.
Um, you want to hear another fun stat that I heard today
I do. Hit me with it.
before we wrap? Tom Brady. It's a Tom Brady stat, and
Okay.
this fucking blew my mind. Needs two more playoff victories to hold the all-time playoff wins record against NFC teams.
Interesting.
He
Wait.
played 20 years in the AFC conference. And if he wins two playoff games this year, he becomes the all-time playoff winning quarterback against NFC teams.
How is that possible?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Like, doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. So not only will he have beaten more NFC teams in the playoffs than any other fucking quarterback, just think about this, dude. He played in the AFC
Most of his career.
most of his career. He's only been in Tampa Bay. What, this is his third year?
Yeah.
I
Now,
mean,
does that count his Super Bowl wins? Since they play. Okay. Fuck. So wait, what's the number? It's how many? Is there a number? So he's got what, 7 rings?
yeah, I gotta see here.
So it's got to be double digits at
NFC.
least. It's like because it's that year they won the Super Bowl, they beat what, like 3 teams, 2 teams?
Yeah, I gotta see here.
It's like got to be like 10 or 11.
Yep. So the Brett Favre has 12 wins against NFC teams in his career, at 12 playoff wins.
Oh my
Tom
God.
Brady, Tom Brady currently sits at 10.
Like how how does Aaron Rodgers not have that? I mean, they've been in the fucking NFC.
Aaron Rodgers is at 11. Tom Brady almost has as many
Oh my
wins against
God.
NFC playoff teams
As Aaron
as
Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers has played in Green Bay his whole life.
Oh my God, dude. What the fuck?
Yep.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the craziest stats. Can you
Tom
bet on?
Brady's played 14 times, 14 games against NFC teams, and he's won 10 of 14.
Unreal.
Isn't that fucking insane?
Yeah. Never would never think that
Yep.
in all the 100 years of the NFL.
So two more to tie.
Well, when did
Three
they start
more.
doing NFC, AFC started what? It was 70s?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you got, on this list, Ron Jaworski, Sims, McMahon, Cunningham, Jake Delhomme, Hasselbeck, Fran Tarkington, Eli Manning, like Aikman's up there, Kurt Warner's up there, Drew Brees only has 8, Russell Wilson only has 8, McNabb has 9. Right now, Brady's tied with Montana for
Fuck, dude.
most wins against NFC playoff teams, or
Well,
I should say, most playoff wins against NFC teams is how I should phrase it. And if Tom Brady, like say Brady makes it to the Super Bowl this year,
he'll beat it.
he takes the record, and he played 20 years in the AFC.
It's crazy, dude. I don't even know what to say.
That's fucking stupid stat, is what it is.
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth.
Oh, I mean, I know you hate him, but that's why he's fucking one of the best to play.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, shit.
Damn. Now that your mind's all fucking scrambled eggs after that stat. Yep.
Yeah, dude. Man, I don't know. I can tell you one thing though. Bitches, they come, they go. Sorry. No, Eminem quote right there, just because it popped in my head. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be back. It's crazy. I told these last other episodes, I mentioned how fast this offseason went, and it's crazy that it's already here. Um, I'm excited though. I'm excited, and even
Oh
though
yeah.
I'm excited, let me message the Browns fans out there. Like I said earlier, it's like we're used to putting a little too high expectations in the Browns. Team's still talented, but the AFC is so. If the Browns were in the NFC, I would still be like they'll make the playoffs, but they're not. They're in the AFC and the AFC North. It's stacked. Um, I want to enjoy. I'm gonna enjoy them playing if they're competitive, and if they're over 500 and right there to make the playoff and then miss, I'll be happy. I'll be happy keeping low expectations, man. I don't know what Brissett's gonna look like. I really don't. And then if he goes down, you have Dobbs there, and then who knows? Maybe he balls out, maybe he doesn't. But I don't know. I'm just gonna be positive. Hopefully everybody stays healthy and we get to watch some good football. But even with that being said, I'm excited for other teams. I'm excited to see how this AFC shakes out. Again, it's loaded.
We're
I
enough
mean,
fantasy. We're in enough fantasy leagues. We'll be paying enough attention to
dude, I'm
all
in too
teams.
many. I feel like you, dude. I'm in like 6, I think. I don't even know how it happened. It happened so fast.
I have a problem saying no. Is what it is.
It
That's what
happened
it
so
is.
fast, dude.
Yeah.
Um, but but yeah, dude, I don't know. I'm pumped. I think I know you don't like how the Bills have all the hype, but you look at their division. I think they got a pretty easy run there. I think they run away with their division versus some of these other divisions like the Ravens, Browns, and Cincinnati, or even Kansas City. I don't necessarily think they run away with their division either. Um, but yeah, I would say the Bills have I mean, I have to look at the rest of their schedule, but as far as division goes, I think they have an easier road than some of the other teams. So I'm actually rooting for the Bills. Honestly, I think they could definitely win this whole thing. Josh Allen's a dog, and if they do fucking win this, I kind of want a Bills jersey anyway. I just like the colors, honestly. So I like that blue, and I don't know. I might rep an Allen jersey at some point. So yeah, I'm excited, man. Pumped. Glad it's here. Football's here. Best season that there is. If you want, you can follow us at AJXO Pod on the Twitters and TikTok. I haven't posted anything in a while, but it's time to get back into it. Personally, you can follow me at Justin_Maxim.
You can follow me at BillsFan53, B1LLSFan53. I'm trying to
And
do the Will Ferrell from
old
what is
school.
it? Wedding Crashers
Oh, yeah.
when
Where he's
he's in his robe.
yeah.
Mom, the meatloaf.
Meatloaf.
Yep.
Um, shit. Well, there you have it. That's all we got for today. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.